Oh my God, it's crazy how cold and different a house feels when it's empty. Like, this place was home for 14 months and like coming in now, it feels horrible. Crazy. Got a random bit of post. So I wanted to make a little video about this house. So this is the house that we lived in pre-moving to the farmhouse. And just go into a little bit of detail about what exactly happened in this house, because the season of life in this house was hugely transitional. And it's been like a pinnacle turning point in my life for change. So I moved into this house in October 2024 and basically ended up moving in here because there was a really big breakdown in my family. And I'm not going to go into detail of what happened because it's very much in the past. But as a result, me and Arabella lost our home very quickly and had to find somewhere to take 8 horses, the 2 of us, the dogs, and all of our belongings. So when I came and looked, I remember vividly looking around this house and hating it, like literally hating it, but feeling so backed into a corner that I had to find somewhere to move us. I'm just going to take it. It's actually a rental that we found through a family friend. So we were really lucky with not having to go through agents or anything. So I agreed. I remember viewing it and going home, and I was kind of on the cusp of the nervous breakdown beginning. And I remember going home and just crying my eyes out and just being like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't my life plan. What is happening? But in truth, I had to just deal with it because this was a roof over our heads, a place we could bring the dogs. And I think me in a better position of health would have loved the challenge of making this place home. But in the state I was in, whereby my mental health and my physical health were just kind of like falling off a cliff, it was just all a bit too much. So yeah, went home, cried, agreed to it, and started transitioning. Me, my mum, and my friend Rhonda moved us in. The stress of moving and the upheaval and the physical reality of moving, a lot of animals, myself, and having just gone through what I'd gone through, I just kind of tipple-toppled and then just crashed. So we moved in the October, and then by Christmas, I caught flu from Arabella at Christmas, and it literally floored me. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced before in my life. I'd never been so sick. I had a fever, I was exhausted, I couldn't eat, I felt sick, and my body was just completely overwhelmed. So I think Christmas Day I got through, and then Boxing Day I just nosedived, and then all over Christmas I was just sleeping. I didn't want to stay in this house, so I was at my mum's a lot of the time, and I ended up in A&E in early January, massively dehydrated and really not well. My body had the flu, was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was going downhill, but the flu just kind of kicked me to the bottom. And yeah, I really wasn't well. And it proceeded to just get worse and worse until, I want to say April, May. My nervous system became so fried and overwhelmed, and I was stuck in such a state of terror and anxiety and survival and panic that all of my normal bodily processes, digestion, sweating, heart rate, body temperature, all went completely AWOL. I couldn't digest anything. I would eat and then it would I'd get such bad reflux, it would start coming back out. I would be freezing cold all the time, and then I would get really hot. I was having panic attacks every day. I was just in such a bad place. So yeah, the transition into this house was not great, and I regularly moaned about the house. I was like, it doesn't feel like home. I don't feel safe. It doesn't feel like home. And I think in reality, it was never the house. I didn't feel safe in my own body. I felt really frightened of what my body was doing to me because I couldn't fix it. So I spent probably 2 months living with my mum at hers, which is usefully only like 2 miles up the road. And then I feel like it was the end of April, she made the suggestion that she came and stayed with me here, because I think the plan was to get me more comfortable with being here, start nesting here and make this home, which I did. I had to be really careful. Like, we did a lot of work in this house, a lot of wallpapering. I took out carpets and sanded back floorboards. When we moved in, you've probably seen the videos already, but it was an interesting colour choice. So yeah, until the point in which I couldn't do anything, I did do quite a bit, much like I have in the farmhouse. But I was using doing the house up as a way to not really look in the mirror and realise what was happening. So with my mum being here, it was great. She pretty much dropped her life and just spent all of her time with me. Like, my mum's retired, so I'm really lucky that that could happen. And we just spent, like, this was my bedroom. I had a lovely gold bed here. And I spent weeks and weeks and weeks in bed, just weeks and weeks. And I found things to do with my mind that kept me occupied, because I'm not the kind of person that really finds being still and static and resting very easy, because my brain is always like, do things, be productive, fix this, fix that, do this, do that. So sitting still, because my body gave me no other choice, was what I had to do. So I threw myself into learning, and I read and I read and I read and I read, and I learned about the nervous system, about nervous system dysregulation, about the effect it can have on the body. And then I stumbled across a therapy called EMDR and went off down a rabbit hole. I think I even did an online course. I did like 4 online courses through this time as well. Like Reiki, EMDR, hypnotherapy, trauma healing, like EFT tapping, all sorts of courses. So I've got like all these qualifications that I'm sure I'll never use, but it was just a great time for my brain to have successes and be productive without being physical. So it was super valuable. So I came across EMDR and I was like, I'm at the point of trying anything now. Like, I, at this point, was 5 stone. I was really unwell. I was terrified. I'd kind of slipped, the stress of what had happened had kind of gone. But because I'd slipped into such a state of ill health and I was so severely underweight, the danger was there that my body could at any point just give up on me. I had medical professionals really concerned all around me, and I was starting to panic, which pushed my nervous system back up into stressed survival, which kind of just exaggerated the problem tenfold. So I found a lady that did EMDR in Portishead, which is where this house is. And I went to the first session. And we actually, when I finished my sessions, we actually talked about it and how I was literally a shell. I turned up on the first day, like painfully thin, with loads of like baggy clothes, because I hid my thinness under baggy clothes, with this pot of biscuits, because biscuits was the only thing my body would like sometimes tolerate. Hot water and a pot of biscuits. And I was terrified. And she said to me at the end of the treatment, she was like, I genuinely didn't think you were going to survive it. So I did 10 weeks of intensive EMDR therapy. No, I did more than that. I did like 6 months. I feel like it might have been 6 months. A long time of EMDR therapy. And basically started working through all the trauma I've had in my life. And bit by bit, things were starting to shift and I was feeling different. Like, I won't lie, EMDR absolutely wiped me out, like seriously wiped me out. but it was doing something. For anyone that doesn't know what EMDR is, I highly recommend reading up on it. It's even if you don't need it, it's super interesting to understand how the brain and the body work, because it's basically our natural way of processing trauma or conflict or anything that creates kind of a dis-ease in the body. So nothing was happening, and I was still going every week, and it was really quite expensive. And then all of a sudden, bearing in mind that for 6 months, I'd had no desire to eat, no appetite, my body just didn't want food or anything, and I just felt sick constantly, so eating was a real struggle. And then session 10, it was like a switch was flipped in me, and all of a sudden, I went from not eating and really struggling to eat a couple of biscuits a day to being able to eat. And I was like, oh my God, something's happened. I can't pinpoint what exactly it was that we did that caused it, or whether it was a collection of sessions that built up to it. I don't know. I don't care, because at the end of the day, from that point onwards, I've just been coming back up, which I am so grateful for. And I guess this video is a video of gratitude to this house, because I know it started with me not wanting to be here. And I remember having nightmares when I first moved in, because I was terrified people were going to break, terrified. I kept having this reoccurring nightmare that somebody broke in. This is the most populated area I've ever lived in. I've always lived really rurally. So this is it's on a main road. There's lots of other houses. There's lots of people and cars and traffic. And I think my brain was oh, this is too much. But I did settle into it. And, this house really is the house I healed in. The biggest thing that this house gave me that provided that healing was the garden. I planted a garden in, I think it was March or April last year. And I threw all of my efforts into that. Reading, learning, planting seeds, watching them grow. And I had my awe. I had my belief in the world and in life again, because I was you plant these tiny seeds and then you just put them in soil and give them water, and then they grow. And I'd get excited to wake up in the morning to run out to the little greenhouse I put up just to see what had happened overnight. And it gave me that spark and that want to survive, because for a time in this period of illness, I didn't want to be here. I had suffered for so long, and I'm a problem solver, and I couldn't solve the problem. And then I moved away from problem solving and focused on something else that, let's face it, is amazing. Seeds, water, soil, sun, plants. It's just incredible. So this house really gave me that. And as I was coming back up, I started to get more involved, and I re-wallpapered this room, and I got my spark was slowly coming back. And then in the August, I met Brad. And he was ironically, I met Brad back when I moved in October 24, because he was working on the house next door. And we kind of made friends over the fence, and we chat over the fence quite a bit. And it was never anything romantic, but we were just, we were good friends. And he'd be out there and I'd be oh, and we'd have a chat. And we kind of rekindled this little friendship, and both realised how weird we both were. But we were each other's weirdos. But nothing ever developed. And, I then got really poorly and disappeared. And then as I was coming back up again, we kind of retouched base over a bale of hay. And then he moved in here with us, and we had a really nice few months together in this house. And it did feel like home, having him here and feeling safe in myself again. This place did feel like home, but it was a process. So I think letting go of this house, I actually feel, which is really weird, because we've been out of here now for almost a month. But there was a little part of me that feels sadness, because it's this was such a big chapter. Well, this last chapter has been the biggest chapter in my life to survive. And I'm so fucking proud of myself that I got through it, because I don't think anyone thought I was going to. I didn't think I was going to. I genuinely am so grateful. So grateful to this house for being the place it happened. So grateful for the people that are now in my life. And so grateful that I'm now in a position in a house that I could only have dreamed of being in, with the man I love, with my daughter, with the animals, with a good job, food in the fridge, a lovely fireplace. And I just think this video is kind of closing the chapter that I've just been through and moving on to the next one, which is obviously life in the farmhouse. But it only felt fair to do her justice and thank her. I hope you're listening, Walls, and thank her for everything she's done, because I am truly grateful that I had the opportunity to live here and the ability to heal here. So there we go. So we've got literally less than 48 hours left until we hand over the keys. As you can see, there's still some bits and bobs that we're doing. Brad's been amazing and done the oven. My mum has been a godsend, because obviously I work such long hours, and she has been coming and doing cleaning and whatnot, and yeah, super grateful for that. So yeah, last few bits and bobs, and then we officially say goodbye and close this chapter. But now it's all about the next chapter, and I've done my healing, and life is going to be so much brighter and better. Thank you for coming on this journey with me today, because I think it will hopefully give you a bit more of an insight into what happened and the backstory behind where life in the farmhouse came from. So this bit's done.